A cab should cost less than $40, my son said, placing 2 folded bills on the plastic chair beside my hospital bed. If it costs more, that's not my problem. For a moment, I thought the medication had made me misunderstand him. I was 63 years old, 3 hours removed from a cardiac procedure, and still wearing a paper wristband with fall risk printed in red. The discharge nurse had said I could not drive. She had also said an adult needed to stay with me until morning. Jason had nodded through every instruction while scrolling on his phone. Then the nurse left, and my only son set down 2 20s as if he were tipping a waiter he did not intend to see again. "You told them I was coming home with you," I said. Jason zipped his jacket. "Plans changed." "What plans?" His eyes moved toward the door instead of meeting mine. "Melissa needs me. The movers are at your place, and she can't handle everything alone." The room seemed to tilt, although I was sitting still. "What movers?" He picked up my wallet from the counter and handed it to me. My driver's license and insurance card were inside. My debit card and 2 credit cards were gone. "We'll talk when you're settled," he said. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." Then he walked out of St. Catherine Medical Center, leaving me with $40, an empty house key ring, and the first clear understanding I had experienced in months. My name is Thomas Hale. For 36 years, I repaired pumps, valves, and emergency generators at the Westbrook Municipal Water Plant. When machinery failed at 2 in the morning, I was the man they called because I did not panic and I did not guess. I listened for the wrong vibration, found the broken part, and fixed what could be fixed. Yet when the failure was inside my own family, I had spent years explaining away every warning sound. Jason was 39. He had my dark hair, his mother's quick smile, and a talent for making his worst decisions sound temporary. His contracting business had been 1 job away from stability for nearly 8 years. I had lent him money for payroll, guaranteed the loan on his work truck, and let him and Melissa move into my house after their landlord refused to renew their lease. Every rescue had come with the same promise, just until we get back on our feet. Carol, my wife, used to say that help without a boundary eventually becomes permission. She died 4 years before that afternoon, and after she was gone, I kept helping because saying no to Jason felt too much like losing another piece of my family. 6 months before my hospital visit, I began having dizzy spells. Jason offered to organize my bills. Melissa put my banking applications on her tablet because the screen was larger. When Jason asked me to sign a temporary medical authorization, I did. I told myself it was practical. I told myself he was stepping up. That was how I had become the kind of man whose son could take his cards, change his locks, and leave him in a hospital with 2 20s. I reached for the call button, then stopped. Shame is a strange thing. Jason had abandoned me, but my first instinct was still to protect him from the opinion of a nurse I barely knew. I pictured myself explaining that the responsible adult on my discharge form had simply driven away. I imagined the careful concern on her face and the social worker who might come next. At 63, I was more frightened of being pitied than of being stranded. I lowered my feet to the floor. My legs held, though they trembled. The doctor had entered through my wrist rather than my groin, and the bandage beneath my cuff was tight and clean. I could walk. I could think. I could call somebody. The problem was that Jason had spent 2 years making himself the center of my world. Old friends stopped inviting me places after I canceled too many times to watch his dog, meet a subcontractor, or cover a payment. My sister lived in Arizona and had health problems of her own. My granddaughter Sophie had not spoken to me in almost 11 months, for reasons I believed I understood then and would later learn I did not understand at all. I tried my debit card through the hospital's payment application. Declined. I tried to sign into my bank account. The password had been changed. That was when a voice beside the curtain said, "If you tell them he left you, they may not discharge you tonight." I looked toward the doorway. An old woman sat in a wheelchair in the hall, a plaid coat folded over her narrow shoulders. Her white hair had been pinned into a neat twist, and her hands rested on a black cane as if it were a judge's gavel. She had the delicate skin of someone well into her 90s, but her gray eyes were sharp. "Excuse me?" I asked. "Your son," she said. "The one who took your cards." Heat climbed into my face. "You heard that?" So did half the corridor. The other half was pretending not to. She rolled closer with short, practiced pushes of her feet. A hospital envelope lay on her lap. I noticed the same red fall wristband around her wrist. "I'm sorry you had to hear it," I said. "I'm sorry you had to live it." She studied me for a moment. "Can you stand without falling?" "I believe so." "Can you lie without becoming theatrical?" I stared at her. She leaned nearer and lowered her voice. "Pretend to be my grandson." I would have laughed if my chest had not been sore. "Ma'am, I'm 63, and I am 94. People believe whatever supports the story they have already chosen." Before I could ask what story she meant, a man in a camel-colored overcoat turned the corner. He was in his mid-50s, silver at the temples, carrying a leather folder and the impatient expression of a person who expected doors to open before he touched them. The woman's fingers tightened around her cane. "That is Grant," she whispered. "My late husband's nephew. He told the staff he was taking me to Hawthorne Memory Care. I told the staff I was going home. He has been waiting for me to become tired enough to stop arguing." "Why would they release you to him if you refused?" "They will not. But he enjoys creating the appearance of inevitability." She nodded at my hospital bracelet. "Your son appears to have the same hobby." Grant saw us and quickened his pace. "Eleanor, there you are. I've been speaking with admissions. We need to leave before traffic." The woman lifted her chin. "Thomas, darling, you found me." I did not know how she knew my first name until I remembered the label on my discharge envelope. Grant's gaze moved from her to me. I had never been good at lying. Carol could tell when I had bought her a birthday gift because I became overly interested in ordinary conversation. But what Eleanor had asked from me did not feel like a lie so much as a position that needed filling. I stepped into the hall and placed one hand on the back of her wheelchair. "Sorry I took so long, Grandma. The pharmacy line was terrible." Grant's confidence flickered. "And you are?" "Thomas." "Thomas what?" "The person taking her home?" Eleanor's mouth twitched at one corner. Grant opened his folder. "Mrs. Whitcomb has had a fall. Her physician agrees that she requires supervised care. My physician advised me not to climb the cellar stairs while carrying a basket of canning jars," Eleanor said. "He did not advise me to surrender my home to a man who has already requested a developer's survey." "This is exactly what I mean," Grant said to me. "Confusion. Paranoia. She thinks everyone is after her property." "Are you?" I asked. His smile vanished. "This is a private family matter." Then it should be easy to respect her answer. A nurse approached, pushing a second wheelchair. Grant turned toward her with the smoothness of a practiced salesman. "I'm Grant Fowler, Mrs. Whitcomb's authorized family contact. Hawthorne is expecting us." The nurse checked the chart. "Mrs. Whitcomb has not consented to a transfer, Mr. Fowler. She arranged transportation through the county senior service." "She canceled it." "No, I did not," Eleanor said. Grant produced his phone. "I have messages that demonstrate she has been forgetful and unsafe." The nurse's voice remained calm. "You can discuss that with her physician or the probate court. It does not change today's discharge." Grant looked at me again, perhaps trying to decide whether I was a threat or merely an inconvenience. "Eleanor has no grandson named Thomas." "Families are complicated," I said. "You have no idea how complicated." He closed the folder with a soft snap. "Be careful, whoever you are. She makes promises when she wants attention." Eleanor's shoulders stiffened. The sentence had hurt her, which seemed to please him. He bent toward her. "When this ends badly, Hawthorne may not have a room left." "Then I shall try very hard to survive the disappointment," she said. Grant walked away, already dialing somebody. Only when he disappeared around the corner did Eleanor release a slow breath. "You are a better liar than you think." I didn't enjoy it. "That is what made you convincing." The nurse looked between us. "Mr. Hale, are you Mrs. Whitcomb's family?" I opened my mouth, but Eleanor answered first. "No, he is a man who needed a ride, and I am a woman with an extra seat." The nurse's eyes softened, though her tone stayed professional. "Thank you for clarifying." I felt exposed and strangely relieved. Eleanor had used the lie only as long as she needed it. She did not ask me to sign anything or speak to a doctor. She simply told the truth once the threat had passed. The nurse turned to me. "Your discharge contact left?" "Yes." "Do you have somewhere safe to go?" I looked at the 220s on the chair. "I'm working on that." Eleanor tapped her cane against the floor. The county car is taking me to Whitcomb Nursery. It passes within 3 miles of Westbrook. He may ride with me, and my housekeeper can watch him until morning if his son has misplaced his conscience permanently. I can't impose.